Hey, hey. I actually feel like I'm in a meditative state right now. This is Naima with Pussy Money with Naima, Monday through Friday, where we bring sexuality professionals to the marketplace powerfully and profitably. And the sun is so nourishing for me. I decided I wanted to be outside today for the last 4 days. The weather has been so beautiful here in California, and I'm so grateful. I was looking at pictures of, I have a VIP day with a client in Paris next week. And I saw pictures, she was in Montmartre, and I saw people with hoodies and scarves on, and I was like, whoa, and I'm over here in California with all this sun, but I will be in Paris next week, and I hope the sun will show itself before I get there. Hey, Sandra. This topic today of constantly failing and taking risks when you're on the front lines of change, I know it and I know it well. And I talk to a lot of women all over the world every day. My client who I'm meeting next week, she's, over there, and I got a lot. I'm working with another woman in Sweden. We're collaborating on a project. You guys will be hearing a lot more of that. She and I are going to be showing up together online, and so I get a front row seat in other women on the front lines, and then I have my own experience being a woman on the front lines. And it is not easy. It's very difficult, and you gotta be with your people. You gotta cultivate a system that can even handle the bullets of being on the front lines, the emotional turmoil, the inner emotional turmoil that comes with being on the front lines, and really owning that position and recognizing that that's your place. You were made for it. And this is something you got to know. Nobody can give this to you. This is something you got to know. And sometimes it just takes looking back to know. Staying in. Steve Jobs even talked about my connection. Okay, here we go. My connection is back. So I have, and I'm using the word failure just because it's a word that people use to describe where things didn't work out the way they wanted to work out. You never can really fail. You can do something that doesn't work the way you wanted it to work, so then you learn how to do something differently the next time, but you never fail. Fail means you're out of the game, and you're never out of the game until you quit. And so I want to share with you a time. First of all, there's so many different angles I can go with this. So first I want to say that the power of pussy is that it's so elegant. There's no let me think about it when it comes to pussy, which is why I feel so held and safe working in the realm of pussy. It has its own intelligence that's rooted, that's pure, beyond cognition. It's in this world but not of it. And I remember I had a program where I had some women come to Italy, and my original plan was to have a local woman in Italy. I was actually interviewing women to run the house. We had a house where these women came, and I wanted it to be this mama experience, where I would interview and hire this local woman to come in and take care of the women, basically be the liaison between me and them and make sure they were well taken care of, etc. That was my original plan. And then in the planning process, the interviewing process, and we were getting closer to the program actually starting, and this guy I was dating at the time was like, Naima, I can totally handle it. Let me do it. I can handle it. Yeah, you're right. The pussy knows. You're right, Sandra. And my inner voice, the part of me that knows, the part of you that knows, was like, okay, I'll let him do it. And when the shit got intense in the house, when the shit got deep in the house, he couldn't handle it. And he ended up being a very poor fit when it was all said and done. And I had to pay the consequence for that because I made the choice to even allow him to do that. And what I did was I ignored what I already knew. There are other instances with clients and just other situations where, for whatever reason, I ignored what I knew to bend, to accommodate, so I wanted to make sure somebody else felt a certain kind of way. I want you to see yourself in what it is that I'm sharing. And I want you to know that when you are on the front lines of change, if you're just, a woman out there just kind of working with people in whatever kind of way, in a light way, and you're not really, taking yourself serious, you're just, then fine. Obviously, this isn't for you. But I'm talking about those of us who have businesses that are on the front lines of change, where we are erecting new systems in the work that we're doing. And you need conditions that only you know. It's like you and the pussy, like you get information, intuitive, you can call it downloads, whatever, but you just know. There are parts inside of you that just know, and it's beyond cognition, and it might not make sense, and people won't like it, and you'll feel uncomfortable with it, and it'll be, but you gotta hold that fort. This is why I talk so much about getting your system in order. Your system needs to be able to handle the aggression. It's like you get this pushback from people and this push from the universe, and you gotta get your system in order. And that's what we're doing at Pussy Money Media. We are working with women on the front lines of change. It's the only way that compels me, that drives me, because there is so much intelligence is the word that comes to mind. It's unadulterated, pure, deepest, truest intelligence in the pussy, in you, that must be respected. Otherwise, you are going to fuck up royally in ways that, especially if your system can't handle it, will take you out of the game. Because when you're on the front lines of change, you are impacting people in ways you don't even imagine. And you could royally throw a dagger in a way that you don't even mean to, all because you weren't willing to hold the responsibility of the conditions that were required of whatever the thing is that you're creating. And so there have been times on the flip side where I totally was like, I know it. Nope, I know it. Like somebody be like, well, maybe not. Nope, I know it. And see, in this instances like this where people could be like, oh, she's arrogant. Oh, she thinks she knows it all. Oh, right? But see, that's the thing about your system needs to be able to handle pressure. Your system needs to be able to handle deep, hard, violent pressure. Do you recognize what you're doing when you're dealing in pussy? Do you recognize the enormity of what you're doing? Most people clench and reject and are terrified of the power of pussy. And there you are, the most powerful thing, standing there in confrontation with love. We ain't out here trying to murder people. I'm like, you are standing in a power, and if you are weak in your ability, so everything is, right? You see where I can go with this, right? So on the flip side, there have been instances where I was like, nope, we gotta go. We had an event in London last year. Oh my God, the shit was off the fucking chain. It was perfect. I had been to London maybe 3 times before that. I only knew a few people in London. Girl, we handled it, okay? We had a full house. It was beautiful. Okay, we back. I followed the knowing. You got to follow the knowing, even when nobody else believes you, when people look at you like you crazy, when you're unsure, when you're because otherwise you're going to fuck up, and you're going to fuck up real bad. And then the part that's going to feel really bad is that you knew, and you ignored what you knew. And so, it's and letting yourself stay fully aligned with what you know. Stay right there with what you know, right? No matter what kind of bullets and I say bullets because it feels so much like a, you know what I mean? And the higher you go, the more intense this shit gets. The more money you start making, the more intense this shit gets. The more eyeballs you get on you, the more intense your shit get. That's why I love what the fuck we doing, because ain't nobody doing what we doing. I'm helping leaders on the front lines of change do this shit. You want a system? You want a new system in the world? You got to be the motherfucking lead. You want to have equality? You want to have power? You want women to have money? You want them to have the relation? Baby, you better model this shit. You better be an example. And how do you be an example? You play on the front lines and you learn how to walk this shit with grace. You learn how to get hit upside your head, punched in the throat, and keep going. You refine and polish and keep going. Get knocked down, refined and polish and keep going. You get knocked down, you get slapped, you have a motherfucker lie on you, you have a motherfucker take your money, you have a motherfucker, all that and you keep motherfucking going. And you get better, and you get deeper with God, and you get deeper with your pussy, and you keep going. Otherwise, you don't deserve to be doing this shit. You need to go down there with the rest of them broads who doing whatever the fuck they doing. Bored as shit, blaming other people, waiting to be saved, crying to some, weak entity. You on the front lines of change, you got to get your system proper. You got to get your system to be able to handle the glorious love of it all and the execution of it all. Because guess what? Everything is here for you and not to you. Everything is happening for you and not to you. And you should feel blessed when shit gets hard, when you feel like you're going to die, when you feel like you can't handle it. You should feel blessed that you have been trusted enough to be able to take that shit on and navigate how to come through that and then be better. Be better. Be better. So y'all just watching me? Y'all got something to say? I mean, what? You feeling me? You not feeling me? You what? Thank you, Revital. What's up with it? And the thing about it is, this, you got to get that. All of us on the front lines of change, we got to get that grit about us. We got to really get in touch with that grit. Now, you definitely got to have your feminine, right? Where you take care of yourself, where you can relax into things, where you can listen, where you can feel your way through. You definitely got to be able to do that. And you got to be ready to step the fuck up when it's time to step the fuck up. You got to be willing to act. You got to have boundaries. You got to have standards. You got to speak the thing that needs to be spoken, right? You got to have that. And I've talked about, you got to have both sides of that. It's too much on the rise of the divine feminine. Folks thinking you just lay down and shit just work itself out. Now, there's a place for that, but it's discernment. It's discernment. And you learn discernment by practicing discernment. So when you do something where you feel like you fuck up, you own that shit. Okay, where did I fuck up? Okay, what did I know that I ignored? What did I know that I was unwilling to do, admit, say, stand for, right? And then say, okay, I'm going to handle this. So it's deep, it's profound. That's what Pussy Money Media is here for. If you're on the front lines of change, come in, contact us. We are collaborating with companies all over the world, women who are also on the front lines of change, who recognize that it's in collaboration, it's in being in the presence and relationship with other powerful women that they're going to win. Because, baby, this shit is intense and ain't none of us going to. All right, so that's it for now. I could go on and on and on. Share this if you have found video. I will be broadcasting from Paris starting next week. I spend most of the year in Paris. I love it there. So you can find me on IG. I'll be really doing more video, personal, behind the scenes, and showing Paris and what's going on IG stories at Naima Singletary. Okay, so at Naima Singletary, at Naima Singletary, at Naima Singletary over on Instagram starting next week. Lots of love. I'll see you tomorrow.